Hey, Dr. Lamb.
Good afternoon. How are you, Dr. Stedman?
Well, let me shut the door.
So what are we doing tonight?
Well, I guess you're going to tell them goodbye from 601, and then you're going to go ahead and share the love about 603. That's mainly it. The professors instructors may have just some brief comments to make about any straggling work that's out there. So,
All right.
other than that, that's pretty much it.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead. What time? Oh, it's still 3 minutes before time to go. I thought I was running late, since I usually am. We're just waiting on everybody to hop online.
I got a message from one of my 605 students today. He, Michael Terry,
Yep.
he became a new father yesterday. His son was born.
Well, congratulations to him.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, is this his first child?
It's his first, and I've had two students in that class to have babies this semester.
Yeah, I've had, let's see, first night of class this semester. I had one have her baby on the first night of class in my 604 class. Emily Morton, she's in the Gaston cohort. Her new baby is Pierce, and then I had another baby this semester, so I've had two. So that's an awful lot to do.
But both students that had babies in this class, one of them was a female and one was a dad. They kept up with their work and never missed a stroke on anything.
That's great. That's great. Dr. Revis, how did your defense go this morning? We don't have any. We don't have any sound from Dr. Revis.
I think she went out and is going to try to come back in.
I'm going to come back in. All right. She'll in a minute. All right. There's Dr. Revis. Now she's on mute. Dr. Revis, the mute button's off now. Unless you can hear us or not. I guess not. We'll get started then. Well, welcome to this. Is this your last class for MELS 601?
This is it. Yeah, I saw Kim.
I don't blame you. Well, congratulations. I know it's been quite a journey. One of the things I will say to you, though, is I think you've probably gotten an understanding that this is kind of the level of commitment you have to make to be a school administrator. I see Tony down at the corner right. She's not got her camera on, but I know Tony is a relatively new assistant principal. You're at our Iredell Charter, Statesville.
Iredell Charter Academy.
Yep, our Charter Academy in Statesville. We've had
Stratton.
several there, and we've got some there. And so I know Tony could probably give us all a clue, but I'm guessing that every day is about like this in terms of the level of commitment, the level of time. And so we've had our charter's been a really good school for us at Gardner Webb. It's been a really good partnership. We thank them. I know what a great school it is. We've got Langtree, which is a little further down the road, Community School of Davidson, and we've had several charters in the region, and we're glad to have them. But I know it's a busy time, and so part of what you've learned this semester, hopefully, is time management, and that you can do it when it seems like it's too much. And so I'm proud of you all, and congratulations. I know it's been a lot of work. As we move forward in the program, as we've told you before, I'm not too big on social graces, and so I refer to it as intentional abandonment, or the more modern term, I guess, is gradual release. We'll be moving to where you will accept more responsibility as we move into 603. 603 is an operations, it's finance and law class. It's your law and finance class, but it's school operations. But one of the things that we'll do is we'll have you going out and doing more things. What we like to refer to as coming and going, to and fro. We'll have you doing a lot of activities where you kind of extend your presence outside of not only your classroom into the school at large, but even into the district at large. We have you doing more things so that you can begin to get on the radar of the people who make the hiring decisions. That's one of the things that we do in 603. We also start pulling back in terms of the materials that we give you. Now, we'll give you a template for your next evidence, the OMA, but it's just the directions and the prompts. It doesn't have any. Now, we give you other materials, but you kind of got to say, okay, I'm gonna go get that and put it with this. That's kind of the next step, instead of us saying here's the task and here's the prompt and here's what you do. Here's the task, here's the prompt. We give you other materials that have what to do, and you kind of have to make your own template or kind of fill it out. And then when you get through with the OMA halfway through the second half of the course, the skip, we won't even give you that. You'll have to make your own template from the very beginning. But again, we'll give you the materials to do that. But it's a process, folks, where we lead you through this. And so let's take a look at my 603 shell. Let me share my screen.
Dr. Lamb, you also can find this under week 14 in Blackboard.
Yeah, you can find all these things there in your shell, but this is what the shell will look like when you get in there. Of course, it'll have all your handbooks. It'll have the weekly schedule. Now, one of the things that we do in 603, just like you have in 601, we have a little more sparse, but we have every week what you're going to do, what your reading is. You have 2 books. You have a resource facilities book. You have a law book. You need them both. You'll keep those. And we have your evidence work when it will be due. And we also have your weekly activity. So for your first week, for example, you'll locate copies of your school emergency plan. You'll need to get with your administrators. Find where your emergency plan is. Where's your crisis box being stored? How long did it take you to find it? Is it updated? Is it appropriate? Does it have a list of current students and instructors? Does it have maps? Does it have all the things that it's supposed to have in there? But this gets you out there. Then you'll talk with your principal or your people in the central office and find your field trip policy. And then assuming, you're on a field trip, your bus gets rear-ended, what do you do? Well, we'll teach you the law that goes with all of that. Reflect on the fact that educators can be held financially responsible. Since 1992 in the state of North Carolina and South Carolina, you can be sued individually for negligence, misfeasance, malfeasance, nonfeasance, and we'll teach you all about those. But you'll need to learn that you can be held accountable. We tell you in 603, the point of 603 is keep you from losing your house. Observe a student due process, that's a disciplinary incident, and report on it. Interview an AP or another school disciplinarian about their concerns about due process and discipline. Examine your district policy on bullying and cyberbullying, most specifically cyberbullying. Attend an IEP meeting, interview the chair of your intervention team, your MTSS team, whatever you want to call it. Everybody usually calls it now. Interview an administrator in your central office about human resources practices. How do you hire in your district? Everybody does the same things. It's just who doesn't. It's different in every district. Some districts have HR analysts. Some of the principals do them. You need to find out about how hiring happens in your district. Interview the same administrator about employee assistance, compensation plans. Do a facilities walkthrough with your AP that's in charge of that. We have an inventory checklist for you to use. Interview a school administrator about fundraising in your district. Talk to your principal about the five most important school-based budgeting process. Locate a copy of your school budget. Does it contain federal, state, local, and school funds? Now, don't be put off here. Your budget is a public document, so they have to give it to you. We have a couple of cases that we have you look at, and then we'll have you look at your district's policy on harassment, and we have a little open-ended one there for you to work on that. And so, as you can see, this will get you out and about in your school, working with your administrators, getting your name on the radar of your central office people. So it's not read a chapter, write a paper kind of thing. So it's a lot of activities. You have two evidences, again, your OMA and your skip. Now, on your OMA, as I said, what we have for you, like for OMA, task and prompts, we do have a template. We have the task and prompts. We do have a template, but all it contains is the task and prompts. So it just tells you what what you're supposed to do in each one of them. We just have them all put in one document. Now you can fill in on this, but what we have instead of putting the information on the actual template itself, what we do now is we give you a guide. Here's some notes from Dr. Robertson. He's one of our instructors. He's made a little guide, which some people like that. We have examples. We have those things. And also under our sessions, like the first week we'll go over, we'll do one on master scheduling, because that's the whole point of the OMA, is to build a new master schedule. We'll do that. We got a PowerPoint for you, and it will tell you exactly what you will need, things you'll need. This is for task one, right? Here's the things that you'll need. So you have to start gathering the materials. Where we normally gather them for you, we can't do that because these are specific to your school. Now, just like when you had to gather the standardized test scores for your school, and you had to gather your walkthrough data and evaluation data, same kind of thing. You'll need your report card from DPI or Department of Education in South Carolina. You'll need your school EVOS report, or if not, it's the student learning outcomes in South Carolina. You'll need your school improvement plan, your existing master schedule, duty roster, supervision schedule, the cognitive survey in South Carolina, or the teacher working condition survey in North Carolina, and your latest accreditation report. You get those things, and you're well on your way to being able to do OMA Task 1. And so we have all the materials for you. You just have to start putting them together. And we tell you what, how to master schedule a school. You got to start with your federal programs, then your state laws. We have all these materials here for you. But you have to start, we're going to start stepping back and you're going to start stepping forward. The materials are all here. You just got to start putting them together. And so we've got a pretty neat little PowerPoint for you here on that. But yeah, you got all the materials that you will need between your weekly session where we'll cover these materials. Right here, it tells you what you're going to need for task 1, the templates, the examples, all the things here. Legal requirements. This is your legal requirements from your state that have to be in your schedule, like the length of the number of days, the length of time, planning time, duty-free time, all those kinds of things. All those things factor into your master schedule. And so you'll have 15 sessions. You'll only have 3 peer reviews for each of the, you'll peer review task 1, 2, and 3 of both the OMA and SCIP. You'll just do a written one. You will not do a video peer review in 603 because we're going to have you doing video. We're going to have you working collaboratively and do 4 big case studies, 4 big legal case studies. We have 4 big legal case studies, and we have the materials for each of those. You have your directions, you have the case study itself, you have all the materials that you need to go along with it. Here's the answer. And you'll work collaboratively in your Zoom groups. Instead of doing Zoom peer reviews, you're going to work collaboratively to build a PowerPoint presentation on each of these 4 cases. Now, the cases are they're all very relevant. The first one is a grading case. First thing you learn when you learn about the duties and responsibilities of the principal, the very first one, 115C 288A, is it's your responsibility to grade students, not teachers, as a school principal. And this is a grading case. It's the first one you're going to have. And it tells you what to do with it and what questions to answer. The second case is on funding. And it speaks to the Leandro case, which is a national case, is out of North Carolina, but it speaks to flat grant funding for schools and what schools and districts are allowed to do with that money that the state gives them per pupil. And so that's what the second one is. The third one is protected class individuals. These 2 kids just happen to be gay. They could be exceptional kids. They could be ESL. Doesn't matter. But it's pretty timely. It's an LGBTQ case. And then the fourth one is an exceptional children's case with the inclusion model, which most districts are using now. So these are relevant. They are very comprehensive. It takes a lot of time. So you will have these and you will present these cases on case study 9. Now, it's 7 o'clock tonight. My group in 603, they'll present their 4th and final case study tonight. And so on that night, I turn it over to y'all, that y'all collaboratively present your PowerPoint. You make your case for how the case ought to be or what ought to happen in each of the cases. Usually it goes pretty good. Sometimes we go down rabbit holes. We don't get it exactly right, but most of the time students do. So you've got a lot of weekly activities. You've got 2 evidences. You've got 4 big case studies. You've got a lot of coming and going, to and froing. You know how to do your evidence work now, and so it ought to be pretty quick. And the good news is this, and I'll stop my share. The good news is, because your 601 instructors are so good and they were so conscientious about how you did your APTEL, the second of the evidences that you did this semester, when you get to OMA task 2, you'll simply copy task 1, 2, and 3, take the labels off of it from the APTEL, and that will, instead of you having to do basically an APTEL, a professional growth plan, in 603, you've already done it in 602. You can just copy and paste it and just take the labels off of it, and that will save you 2 weeks of work right there. You get to task 3, you modify or build a new master schedule according to what level you are, whether you're elementary, middle, or high, and that goes pretty quick. And then you write your competencies. And so you write half of them for the OMA and the other half for the skip, pretty easy. The skip goes very quick. The skip is simply a needs assessment of communication gaps. You go straight to your parent survey, whether it's teacher working condition survey or your cognitive survey. You look at the gaps in communication. Then you figure out the resources, both human and physical, that you need, put it in a marketing plan. Looks just like the other plans, like you did, the action plan for the app sale and the professional growth plan for the app sale. You build one of those and then you do your competencies. So the evidence is, once you get through task 1 of the OMA, which we give you 2 weeks to do because it's the longest, after that, they go really quick. The evidences are not nearly as long because we want to focus more time on our case studies. It's intention. Again, you get 2 weeks to do basically task 1 and task 2, but task 2 of the OMA takes about 10 minutes. Literally, it's a copy and paste. And so you get 2 weeks to do that. After that, everything goes really quick. The evidences aren't nearly as long as involved as they were, but the case studies are long and involved. And you do have to do a lot of collaboration between your Zoom teams to build those. And so we're making a shift. Again, we're putting more emphasis on you stepping forward and us stepping back, so that you can begin to exert your leadership. And please remember, working online is a certain level, sharing peer reviews is another level, but the highest level of work, the most difficult level, is to collaboratively create work online. And that's what you do with your full case studies. You collaboratively create a presentation. And that's the highest level of virtual collaboration there is. And that's what we're most interested in. Again, we're stepping up our game. We're working on our skill set. We're getting better and better each time. We're adding more and more things. But again, we're not just adding more without, the evidences are not nearly as long as involved, but the case studies step up. Again, we know that you know how to do evidences. Y'all have knocked those out this semester, and they were long and involved. But the ones next semester will not be as long as involved, but the case studies will make more than make up for that. And then after you do your presentation, you'll do a half-page reflection on the process where you share with us, but I learned this or didn't like that, or learned that, or didn't agree with this or agreed with that. My group worked well, or, that bunch of, I worked with a bunch of chowderheads, because that's a private reflection to your instructor. And, you can reflect on the case or the process or both, whatever you want to share with us. But the whole notion here is reflective practice. Did it go well? Just like my group. I'll tell you, I had one group, they got 3 of them call me the same day to start with. We got so-and-so in our group. We got Billy, he's no good. Well, this is your chance to, to exert some leadership and begin to grow into the job. You've got a fellow and y'all don't think he's very good, make him good. What happens when you get teachers that you don't think are very good? You don't get to hire, rarely you get to be the principal of a school that opens up and you get to hire all new people. You're going to inherit some people. You're going to inherit Miss Perkins. I was sitting in my office. I was an elementary principal in Burke County, and I was sitting in my office, and all of a sudden the lights started going dim. And I looked around, and there was the little playground at the end of the building, and there was kindergarten kids climbing on the electrical wires up on the side of the building. And I come running out of my office, and there stood the teacher, Miss Perkins. And this is what she said to me. She said, somebody needs to get control of these kids. And I said, that would be you, Miss Perkins. That's what we hired you for, to get control of these kids. And so the notion here is, that's what we hired you for, to get control of these teachers and kids. If they're not the best one, your job is to make them the best one. And part of that learning, that learning to work with adults, is through these case studies. Sometimes you get a group and you know who the members of your group are. Sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. The fellow that they all worried about this semester, he stepped right up and did a good job, and they were all pleased. Now, I think they whipped him pretty good for the first couple of times, but he finally, he got the message and stepped up and started doing better. And then the reflection back to me is this was the best learning experience we've had. How do you deal with somebody who's not very good? How do you help them become very good? And so that's part of the case study process as well. How do you learning to collaborate with others, learning to work with others, because each of you will take a turn, during the 4 case studies of being the leader, where you have expectations of your team members. It is good practice. The number one thing that superintendents share with me, and I have a collaborative group and I'm on the phone or with them all the time, the number one thing they share, please, as they tell me, please teach them conflict management. How do you get, how do you manage conflict and get people to do what you're paying them to do? We get so many people in administrative roles that don't understand that's what we hired them for. They don't teach a soul that, we hire them to manage conflict, people who aren't doing what they need to be doing, to help them to do what they need to be doing. And it gives you the opportunity to do that. And so 603, obviously you can tell I teach 603. It is my deal. I am an operations person. Now, the people that you've worked with this semester are all much smarter and brighter. They're all instructional people. But we're making a shift. We're going to shift away from instruction that you worked on this semester. And we're going to shift into operations. Things in operations are much more cut and dry. They're a little bit less touchy-feely, and we got to do this, don't do that. We prefer not to lose our house or our freedom. So we got to follow the law. So we're going to learn about the law, and we're going to learn about finance, about school budgets. We're going to learn about those kinds of things so that you will be able to stay out of jail or stay out of trouble. Now I'm going to kind of leave you with this thought, and then I'll turn it back to Dr. Stedman. I am not telling you that I can teach you how to not ever get sued. You probably will. My point is, and it's very mercenary, and I'm just going to tell you before you start, my job is to make sure that you win. When you go to court, that you win. That's the notion here. You're probably going to end up in court at some point in your career. Somebody's going to sue for something. Everybody sues about something all the time. Can't keep you from getting sued, but my job is to make sure that when you do, you win. Dr. Stedman, is there anything else that I need to cover with this group? I didn't want to spend more than about 25 minutes. And I'm right on my time.
Other than as they are going into 603, we've dealt a little bit with plagiarism needs to be talked about, because there's some consequences that could come from that, and we've had to deal somewhat with what could have been plagiarism. So I think they need to hear from you, that they just need to be careful. Even if other students have worked in their school and gone through this program in their district, they need to be careful about using too much of the same work that student has used.
Yeah, so we set a number, or I do, on each of these, and of course you have to turn it in Blackboard. You do realize that these are turning it in again in TaskStream when they go there, and so we won't let you submit one that's going to ring the bell there, because remember, when it goes to TaskStream, that's state grading. There's nothing I can do to help you. If it violates the standard in TaskStream, there's nothing I can do for you. Please remember, TaskStream is the state repository for your portfolios. That is not a Gardner Webb thing. That's the DPI and Department of Education thing. So, be mindful of, there's going to be a certain amount matching just from using templates. And there's going to be a certain amount matching if you're at the same place that somebody else has come through. Just make sure that you don't use their paper as a guide. That's the easiest way. Just don't use theirs as a guide, because that's when it flags, the red flags pop up.
Wow.
If you use theirs.
Dr. Lamb, one of the things is just be careful you know, it makes it pretty hard, and you alluded to this, when your team members call and they say, is there any way that we cannot have so-and-so in our group next time, because we feel like that they are copying our work. So please be cognizant. It's okay to look and you can model after others' work, but don't take their work. They've worked hard for it.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly right. All right.
Dr. Revis, Dr. Hamilton, Dr. Crawford, do you have any comments that you need to make? If you owe us work, and there's a few of you that still do, you need to get it in.
Well, I'll just say my group has done a great job. They did a great job on the Turnitin check. I had some of the lowest scores ever, which is you want low on Turnitin check. So that's been good. And I think that they're going to be very successful in the next go round with 603. I think that they've learned this work ethic, and they have really been on top of everything. I have a few people who are still turning it in check and waiting on the final evaluator, but that's it. They've done everything else. And so I think that pacing is important. And it's going to be more and more important as you go through this coursework and as you take on more leadership roles in your school. So that pacing is important. So keep up that pacing and keep up so that you don't get behind, because once you're behind, you start feeling overwhelmed, and it does impact the quality of work that you can turn in. So.
And remember, it's your, you know, you don't have to show up for class, but we highly encourage you to show up for class. In 603, I don't know hardly how you're going to make it if you're not in class. I mean, you can listen to the recordings, but I know what 603 entails. So I highly encourage you, please make sure that you schedule your day so that you can be present in class each week as much as possible. You learn so much, you know, from Dr. Lamb and the other instructors, but you learn so much from each other.
Right. And then also in 603, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but if I recall, you have to be there to do those presentations of those case studies as well. So it's not like something you can just watch later on a video. You're going to have to be an active participant in that. So whenever your class is for 603, go ahead and mark that time off on your schedule.
Yeah, you got to be at your night for presentations. You got to show up for those.
Dr. Lamb, are there 3 of you that's teaching 603 this time?
Let's see what we got coming up here. So I'll be teaching the C2 section with Dr. Griffin Joyner. She's principal in Durham. And Dr. Sane, he is in the central office in Lincoln. He's executive director. I'll be teaching that group. That's the C4 group. The C6 group will have Drs. Caton and Maraglia, the dynamic duo. Dr. Caton is principal at Aidan Grifton in Pitt County, Greenville. And
So,
Dr. Maraglia is principal in Charlotte Mecklenburg. And
so
they teach and coach their own sections.
So Dr. Lamb, that means that if you're in my class, you've got Dr. Lamb. If you're in Dr. Revis's class, you've got Dr. Sane. And if you're in Dr. Hamilton's class, you've got Dr. Maraglia as your main instructor.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to say this. I grade my own work. You know, the coaching model is a little bit different. The coaches will do many lessons and they'll work with you on your task stream competency folio, but I grade my own work. That means I know exactly where each of you is every day. I grade every morning and every evening, every day, 7 days a week. And so I know when you're behind, I know when you're ahead. So when you turn your task in, you turn them in my shell, in the class shell. I may have you put a few in now. The only time that you work with a coach in 603 directly is if you are, if you're behind, or if when you turn your work to me in the first time, if it's missing something, I'll tell you quickly, add this, don't, take that out, put this in, and I turn it around again every day. And then I expect the next day for it to be back with whatever the correction was. Now, if it doesn't come back the next day, or if it should have been written in crayon, I'll send you to the coach for one-on-one help. It is more of a coaching model in terms of if you're behind, or if you're not catching on, I'll put one of them to work with you as an individual, and they'll come and Zoom with you as an individual. But again, you got to pick up the pace on stuff like that. You're supposed to know how to do these things time you get to us. And so, when you turn task 1 in, I'll look at it, looks good. It'll say continue with peer review and move on to task 2. And if somebody reviews yours, you add that in. If not, you put it in the assignment drop box and keep on moving. We don't wait in 603. And if you turn one into me and it's not very good, I'm not going to give you a 70. I'm not going to give you an 80 or a 90. I'll either give you 100 or 0. If I give you a 0, you'll go to the coach and start working with them. And they will work with you individually to catch you back up. But you can't get behind and stay behind in 603. I'm going to tell you that right now. There isn't any getting behind and staying behind. You might get behind, but we're going to catch you back up quick. Because we want you got to learn something about school administration. And this is the secret to school administration. I'm going to tell you this for no extra charge. Here is the secret to school administration. We could all do better if we had more time. You have to learn. This is good enough. This is how much time I had. This is as good as I could do. And send it in and move on. That this notion of, well, I'll wait another day, or if I can spend another hour. A lot of your time.
Anyway, the LA Chargers.
The amount of time.
The game came down to a kick to win.
And so the notion here is keep the ball rolling. You keep the line moving. You have the Sunday night at 9 o'clock to turn your work in every week. It ought to be in at Sunday night at 9 o'clock. Because I'll grade. You say, well, he won't grade. I'll just wait till the next morning. I will grade. I'll circle back one last time between 11 and 12 before I go to bed. I only sleep between 12:30 and 4:30. So yes, I will circle back one more time. And I will start the next morning. I won't start at 4:30 because I have my other stuff to do. But at 7 o'clock, I'll start grading the next morning. Now I don't do late. It's up to you to keep up. I don't. Oh, this is late, or you get points. You have to manage yourself. We can all do better if we had more time. When you've done what the task and prompts tell you to do, then you turn it in and you move on. That is the deal.
And
you better, you got to pick up your feet and run.
Dr. Lamb, what time were you and I talking this morning?
I don't know.
7 o'clock, were we
About
not?
7 o'clock. I went to my office at 7 and he called me at 7. Now he knew I was doing I could use a little churching up. I do a little Bible reading in the morning, a couple other things. Between 4:30 and 7, I get a little work done. But yeah, I mean, it's 7 o'clock Monday morning, time to be in the office and go to work. And I run back through task 3 and Blackboard again. I mean, that's, this is the life of the school administrator, folks. I mean, everybody's sitting here. Dr. Crawford was a high school principal. Dr. Hamilton's been principal for a long time, been in the central office. Dr. Stedman was a high school principal. Dr. Evans, 4:30 is time you get up and go to work. That's the way it works, folks. Got to catch another gear. You sleep when you're dead. That's kind of the way it works. If you need more time, you need to be a better time manager. If you need more sleep, go to bed early. But you need to get up and be rolling every morning. you know, you got to hit it. And you got, you know, I'm amazed at how many people don't understand the concept of it's a school night. I mean, when I was a kid and all the way through my career, you have school night. We don't go out. We don't do this. We don't do that. Got to get in bed. It's a school night. It's the way, you know, whatever fun you have is between, you know, midnight on Friday and midnight on Saturday. And that after that, it's back to work. You know, and so, you know, that's part of what you got to get yourself into. But if you're one of those people who needs extra time, or it's just not perfect enough, you won't make it in this business. We could all do better if we had more time.
I
We do
can't
the
hear
best we
y'all.
can do with the time we got, and then we move on. And that's what we're going to try to help you with that in 603 is that time management piece.
Dr. Lamb, I want to, because I know you've got a class in just a minute,
I
but
do.
now I will tell you, I've worked with Dr. Lamb for, I won't tell you how many years, but anyway, Dr. Lamb says what he means and he means what he says. But do you see the beard that he's got? I want to tell you, there's another side of this man. He starts growing that beard shortly after July, and he's growing it because he really is Santa Claus. And this man spends a lot of his time, his personal resources or whatever, and he gives and gives and gives to children in need. So I wanted y'all to know he means what he says, and but there's another side of this man too, and he will give you the shirt off his back. He will work with you, and he's going to help you through all of this. But you're going to plow to the end of the row. I can promise you that.
Yeah. 603 is well, thank you for that, those kind words, Dr. Stedman. But it's this is where you learn how to be a principal. 603 is your operations class. This is how you learn to conduct yourself and how to run a daily schedule and how to run a school. How to manage your time, how to manage your resources, how to manage your people. Now, you say manage. I thought you were training us to be leaders. We are. So in 605, when you get to 605, we're going to spend a whole semester in 605. You'll be with Dr. Stone, and he's going to try to teach you how to be a leader. That a lot of that is yourself, is leading yourself. My job is to teach you how to manage and run a school. Every semester, there's a different emphasis. First semester, it was all about instruction. You know, what do they do in Jones Sausage? They make sausage. What do we do in public school? We teach kids. So we started with the most important part, which is the teaching learning continuum. That's the whole notion of creating a culture of teaching and learning in your building. Second phase is how do you run a school? How do you operate? How do you how do you build a master schedule? How do you manage your money? Do all those things. That's what the second semester is about. How do you run school? How do you manage a school? And the biggest thing is managing your time. That's why I said that's the secret. You can run a school if you can manage your time. And then the third phase of this three-prong attack that we've got is we'll work with you on your personal leadership, knowing yourself, your dispositional behaviors, things you need to work on. Again, so it's instruction, management, then leadership. Leadership comes last. When you know instruction and you know how to manage your school, and then you can apply your personal leadership to that. And so you'll spend your next semester after 603 working on your personal leadership skills. But
And it
next
doesn't
semester,
matter.
we're going to do management.
Right. It doesn't matter if you're in C2 with Dr. Lamb, C2, C4 with whomever, C6. Dr. Lamb has trained every one of them. He's cloned those people.
Yeah.
So you've got Dale Juniors in every one of those classes. So everything you've heard, I promise you, it's going to be the same. And he monitors what goes on in there because of the importance of all of this.
Now, the thing about those two ladies, Dr. Caton and Dr. Maraglia, they're small, but they're mighty. They're meaner than I am. I can tell you right now that you get no pass from them. They'll tell you the same thing that I'll tell you. You find sympathy in the dictionary. They are mean women. I was just tell you right now, they're small, but they are mean. And so, but that's the whole notion. They're not rude or angry or hateful or any of those. But operations is very matter of fact, folks. Because as we say in the business, it's all fun and games till somebody gets their eye put out. We're talking about safety, security, the most recent tragedy in Uvalde, Texas. Two things that are on that we've had on our assessment inventory for 10 or more years are all the outside doors locked? How'd the shooter get in? They propped the door open on the backside of the school. How'd they get in the room where the kids were? The lock was broken on the door. Been that way for months. That's just unacceptable. That's the kind of stuff. I mean, we're talking about life and death. We're talking about your livelihood here. You do things wrong, you manage incorrectly, you break the law, you misspend the money, you let the money get gone, bad things will happen to you. So we're talking about real life grown people stuff here, that you have to be accountable for safety, security. You have to legally take care of your kids. You have to protect them. You have to protect the money. I'm just going to tell you right now, if you don't, it will not go well for you. And so let's see right here. If y'all can see that picture. You see that little tiny woman right there? That's Dr. Maraglia. Well, she's actually a normal sized person. I'm not, but it doesn't matter how small she is, she'll light you up. And so y'all need to make sure that, she'll be ready to go. And y'all will have a good time with them. And before I go, I think I shared this with y'all before. I hope I did. Y'all do know that Dr. Stedman is the reigning Adjunct Faculty of the Year for Gardner-Webb University. And so I know y'all have had a good time with Dr. Stedman and Dr. Revis, Dr. Crawford and Dr. Hamilton. They are the dream team. There is no doubt. They are the dream team. They are the best. Now, full disclosure, Dr. Stedman and I have been working together for a long time. Dr. Hamilton, Dr. Revis, Dr. Crawford and I go back to Charlotte for how many years has it been? He was just a boy. I was already grown, but we go back, what, 25, 27 years?
Yeah, when I was first starting.
Yeah. He was just, he still had a milk mustache, scab on his booster shot. He was so young when he first started with me. And I had a white beard then. But these people, they are the real deal. You will get transitioned to another group they won't be as touchy-feely, but they will be just as wonderful. But they will train you the right way. And then when you get to 605 and you have Dr. Stone, he's everybody's favorite. Everybody just loves him. He is the perfect person to help you work on your leadership skills because he's such a caring individual. The operations people have to be we have to be a little more forceful and direct because we're playing for keeps. And so don't be discouraged. Don't be afraid. It's just, we're going to have grown people discussions that you have to have, and you have to know this stuff, because you can't make many mistakes with the money or kids' safety or those kinds of things will get you in trouble in a real heartbeat. Getting out of compliance with your master schedule, your school activity report, your creditors, all those people, that will not go well for you. Misspending federal money, not keeping up with your EC program, that kind of stuff. Ooh. You don't misspend federal money but one time, then somebody else gets the opportunity to do it, not you anymore. And so, I mean, there's a lot of rules and regulations in schools that you have to be very mindful of, and there's no second chances on some of them. And so that's the kind of stuff. I'm not trying to frighten you. This is just the way the world works. There's consequences if you don't do the right thing with the safety and with money and with the master schedule. Those things
And
matter.
and if you like to wear orange, you don't want to wear it every day. So
No.
that's what 603 will help you do, not
Yeah.
have to wear orange every day.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You don't want to be making little ones out of big ones, busting rocks in the penitentiary. But just like Dr. Crawford just chimed in, he'd love to get that Title I money back every day. It's such a pain to deal with. But that's part of it. Federal money is the most restrictive. Federal law is the most restrictive. That's why we have to. That's the first thing that we have to look at when we schedule a school. I'll tell one story and we'll go. So I went, if anybody's from down in Duplin County, down in that area, they want to cross over toward Topsail, back in the Chicopin area. I had to go to a school down there and visit an intern. And I went there and I'm telling you what, I mean, my GPS was just spinning. You couldn't even map it on a GPS. It's so far out in the middle of nowhere. And they detoured me up the road. I went up a man's driveway and through his carport back to get to the school. I'm not making this up, but it's germane to the story in that what's the chance or probability that they just randomly selected this school for a Title I audit? That would be zero, because God, you couldn't find it with a map. So when I got there, I had to wait an hour to visit with the principal about this intern because they were having a unannounced Title I audit. Well, I had to go back 2 weeks later to meet the new principal. You don't misspend Title I money but one time. That's federal money. And so one of the things we teach you is there's a difference between having a Title I school and a Title I program. Title I school means 80% or more on free and reduced lunch, and everybody can share in the money equally. Title I school or Title I program is only 50%, and only the Title I kids can touch any of that money. And he had put non-Title I kids in Title I teacher's class. And so she picked up the phone, called Raleigh and said, I've got 20 kids in my class that are not Title I. He misunderstood the rationale for scheduling. He let teacher input because the other third grade teachers were beating him up because they had overloads in their class. And here's a woman down the hall. She's only got 15 in her class. So he listened to them and moved non-Title I kids into her class, misspent federal money, so they had to fire him. The district had to revert all that money back, and of course they had to get a new principal in place. So I had to go back 2 weeks later. That's real life, folks. That's not hearsay. That's the kind of stuff that happens if you don't know the rules. And so those are the kinds of things that we're going to cover next semester. Is you better understand you better identify and know what your federal programs are and what all the rules are for those programs. Title I, EC, your intervention kids, 504 kids, CTE, ESL, and gifted. All of those are federal programs, very restricted. And you know that those teachers are paid with federal funds, not the state or local funds. So you can't just be sending them to do whatever you want them to. Those are the kinds of things. And we'll talk about all that kind of stuff, the different sources for funds, 4 different kinds, where the money comes from, how you spend it, those kinds of things. Dr. Crawford says his school's got a federal budget of $1 million, and he has to account for every penny of it every month. And that didn't even touch all the state money and the local money and his school money. That's just federal money. Yeah. Again, to be redundant, you don't misspend federal money but once.
And it's the same thing with federal grants, Dr. Lamb.
Yep.
With my program with CIS, I get a lot of federal grants. It is the oversight of those grants are just, the money's great, but the work you have to put into it is just unreal. And we inevitably get an audit every time we get a grant.
Every time. Now, you know that every school gets audited once a year. That is standard. You're going to get a standard audit every year. And so it's not like that you can let this stuff ride for years and hope not to get caught. As we say in the operations business, hope there's not a plan. You better have a plan. And so that's the notion here. Again, I thank you for choosing Gardner Webb and the MELS program and being with us. I hope that you have found you have found value in your course this semester, that you are now up to speed on instruction and professional growth and empowerment, and understand that that's the first and most important piece, because that is our core competency is the teaching learning continuum, that function. That's the most important. We're going to shift our focus to how to run a school, how to manage a school. And as I said, in your last semester, then you'll work on your personal leadership. So I applaud your journey. As I said the other night, I believe there's more opportunities now than I've ever seen in this business. I think you're in at the right time. I hope you all have a good holiday, and I will see you all, I guess, when is it? The second week of January, when we start classes back again. I think everything should be good. Yep, I believe we'll be ready to roll by then. So again, thank everybody for joining us. Dr. Stedman, you got anything else?
No, I just want to thank my students for the challenges this semester. I know we've been tough on them, but it was for a good reason, and I hope you receive it as that. We wish you the best, and we just, you can do it. It's left up to you. It's left up to you, and we just wish you the best.
And
All right.
I'd like to echo that and just say that I've enjoyed working with you guys this semester, and getting to know you. You guys have a lot of strong potential. This class coming up is going to be probably the scariest class, as far as when you realize all the legal ramifications of your actions. But I promise you, you will enjoy it, and it will be very beneficial to you, and you will come out on the other side knowing so much more. But I will say, those of you who still owe me a few things, let's get that finished up. And I challenge the rest of you, if you're completed with everything, as Dr. Hamilton said, go ahead and get started on that OMA and get ahead of the game. And I've got to jump off of here for another class, but have a good holiday, and I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you all for everything. Enjoyed working with you.